Hello everybody and welcome back to Alaris Labs YouTube channel. Today we will continue discussing data coding schemes and their configuration, as well as the way to transcode the message, and in the end of this lesson we will discuss most frequent issues and difficulties you face. Hopefully it will help you to analyze these issues by yourself and resolve them faster. The main part of the setting can be found in the interface: Start, Carriers, SMS channels. Generally, the setting can be divided in two groups: client and vendor configuration. I suggest we start with the client side. We can choose client channel and notice the only field responsible for the mentioned topic. This field is default data coding scheme. In the list of data codings which was discussed in the first lesson and used by SMPP protocol, the first data coding scheme is the number 0. It is the default data coding and in the most cases the standard GSM 7-bit used to encode the message. However, it directly depends on your partner equipment and sometimes your partners can use different data coding to encode the message. For example, your client can notify that the text is encoded in data coding 0 but use ASCII instead of GSM 7-bit. This will cause the wrong decoding by the SMS switch and wrong text sent to the vendor side. That is why you can select the right data coding in this field after the discussion with your partner, which will be used as the default one. Now let's investigate vendor configuration in the interface. It is slightly different but generally the same. In contrast to the client channel, it allows us to transcode the text and use different data codings to send the message. In the mentioned interface SMS channels, we can choose any vendor channel and notice that one more field, transcode messages in unsupported encodings, is added. We will discuss this option in more details later. The field default data coding scheme has the same meaning as in the client channel. We can also choose the data coding scheme which will be used as the default one. In the allowed data coding list, you can limit data codings which can be sent through the channel. In case the message is encoded in the data coding which is not allowed in the list, it will be rejected with the status Incompatible data coding. Please be aware that in the first lesson we have also discussed the new parameter data coding which has been added to HTTP API request URL. In case the client specified the data coding which is not allowed in the vendor SMS channel, then the message will not be sent using this channel. Let's check the field Transcode messages in unsupported encodings. This functionality can work using three modes: no transcoding, only lossless transcoding 2, forced transcoding 2. The no transcoding mode will not change the text, but will pass the message using this channel in case the data coding of this message is allowed in the list. The mode only lossless transcoding 2 needs to be investigated deeply. This mode not just pass the message further, but will allow you to transcode the message whose data coding is not allowed in the list. For example, your client sends a message using GSM 7-bit data coding scheme, but it is not allowed in the list of the vendor channel. Then, using this mode you can transcode the message, which also has an internal configuration file that contains translation rules for the symbols not present in the target encoding. For example, when messages in GSM 7-bit with the following symbols are to be terminated through a vendor that supports only ASCII, it is possible to create symbol translation rules for the target encoding 1, converting these symbols to U and A respectively, and still use lossless translation mode. That means, in case there is a special rule which specifies a special character translation, then the system doesn't consider the translation as a loss, and the message can be transferred. To configure symbol-based translation for specific channels and character sets, please contact Alaris Labs support team. The only difference between modes only lossless transcoding 2 and forced transcoding 2 is that the last mode will transcode the text using the special rules and replace symbols not found in the target encoding with question marks, but the message will be rejected using the mode only lossless transcoding 2 in case the character cannot be transcoded. Now you know all technical details connected with the data coding schemes, and I suggest we investigate all standard errors you can face in the system. Generally, there are 4 main errors which you can find in the EDRs. The first status is message decoding failed. This status can be faced in case not all characters in the text can be found in the data coding table, which was specified in the data coding field. For example, the message will be rejected in case the text was encoded using data coding 3, Latin 1, but the text contains Cyrillic characters. Data coding failed can be faced in case the mod only lossless transcoding 2 was chosen, but the text cannot be transcoded. For example, the switch received the text with the following character in the data coding JSON 7-bit, but it needs to be transcoded to ASCII, and the switch failed to do this as there are no special rules described earlier in this video. Data coding incompatibility. You will find the status in case the data coding of the message is not allowed in the list in vendor SMS channel. Incorrect message length. If the length of the message is longer than it is allowed by the configuration, the message will be rejected with such status. But such behavior is also configurable and can be changed for every client channel separately. Quite often we receive tickets with your request for checking why the original text of the message was changed. For example, your client sends a message with the following text, but it was changed by receiving it on the handset. We will try to describe the way how you can check on which step the text was changed. Our platform doesn't change the text by passing it to the vendor in case the transcoding mode was not chosen. To check this, you need to perform the following steps. Check the EDR. Find client submit or packet using trace analyzer interface. Find vendor submit or packet which was sent to the vendor. You can compare the text which was received by the switch and which was sent to the vendor and find out whether it was changed on the LRI side. If you have any doubts or questions, you can always share the traces and EDRs with our support team and the issue will be investigated. Well, that is all technical details which we plan to describe in this video. In case you have any questions regarding this part of the video, you can always contact our support team. If you have any suggestions regarding channel development, we will be happy to get them also by the following email. We also suggest you to subscribe the channel to get the notification regarding new lessons.